welcome. So what we are hoping to do this afternoon, let me just say what we want to do for the afternoon, and then we'll introduce ourselves a little bit more. What we are asked to do is to talk about safe manual handling. So safe handling, safe being able to move from one place to another, okay? So as carers, supporting somebody with that movement. So we've said that the first thing we'd like us to look at is to consider self-preservation in transfer training. So in other words, being safe, okay? To think of what the basic skills are for moving people, okay? And then for us to go over specific techniques for you. And then what we thought would be helpful is to talk about different equipment that you may not know about, different equipment and services, of where if we start talking about something and you think that might be helpful, where you can get it from. And this is where my colleague Helen is excellent, because you can tell I'm not a native of this country. I've been here for 12 months now, so Caitlin can tell you very clearly more where you can get some of this equipment and services from. Okay, so first of all, let me introduce myself, and then Caitlin will introduce her. So I think I've met a few of you. I can see Patty, I can see you're on the line, and so I've been part, if you like, of the international ALS community for a number of years. I came here probably about 5 or 6 years ago and spoke in international symposium in Orlando. I think I did that twice, and in Boston, and met different people. And then I started working for the University of St. Augustine when I was in the UK. I'm an occupational therapist by background, and I led the occupational therapy and physical therapy service within the UK. And then I was encouraged to come over here. So I came over here the middle of January last year. So you can all smile now that that probably wasn't the best time for an international visit over to another country, okay? So I came over here and started working at the University of St. Augustine, whereas here, both Caitlin and myself are professors in occupational therapy. So we thought it was ideal to do this here, where you can see some of the equipment that we have as well, and it's easier to demonstrate for you. Okay. As far as ALS is concerned, I specialise in ALS since, I'd probably say since about 1996. I was involved with working with people with ALS clinically. And then, by a strange irony, we saw the symptoms in my father. And my father had ALS in 1998. He had upper signs and bulbar signs and respiratory signs. So we looked after him for 18 months, 2 years. And then after that, I started researching into ALS. So one of the things that I speak quite a lot about is about exercise and how much we should do within ALS, and also advise other occupational therapists in what to do. So that's my journey to here. Now let me pass you over to my colleague, Caitlin.
Hey everybody. So I'm the native here. I am I'm from Florida actually, so I'm a Florida native. And I'm here to, like Dr. Carey said, I'll translate what she's saying because I still have a hard time. She told me she was going to nick to the loo earlier, and I figured out she went to the bathroom. She was going to go to the bathroom. So I'll help translate, but I'm an occupational therapist. I've been an occupational therapist for 11 years, and so I help people to be as independent as possible. So I am here to help kind of guide you, to help you, like Dr. Carey was saying, self-preservation, right? Taking care of yourself, and then hopefully we'll teach you some tricks to make it easier for you to transfer, to be as independent as possible for as long as possible. So that's our goal for today.
Okay, so thank you. What we would like to look at is if you can tell us what you want out of the session this afternoon. We've been teaching for quite a few years now, so we can be flexible and adaptable. We don't want to go through doing something that you might want to hear a bit different of. So if you don't mind, can we ask you individually if you can say what you want? If at 3 o'clock today you think that was a really good session, what is it that you wanted covered? Is that okay? So shall we ask one of you to go first? Who should Pat Menenga, do you mind?
All right. My question is, what things should I be preparing for now? My wife is mobile, but down the road she may not be. She has bulbar onset. It hasn't descended into her limbs, but I know that's coming, and I would like to know how to move her and prepare and the techniques that you may demonstrate that helps me get her out of bed, get her to the bed.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. I don't know if that's what you're going to do today, but
Lovely. We will do, Pat. So for you, you're thinking, you want to be thinking that one step ahead. And that's really, really sensible to do. So no problem at all. We will be talking about things and you can shout us at any point as well. The other thing that we were thinking of, wasn't it, Caitlin, that we're very happy, aren't we, to do sessions individually?
Yes. We'll give you guys some more information at the end of this presentation, but we can also give one-on-one caregiver training sessions. So that we'll give you all the information at the end of the session, but we can meet with you one-on-one to go over very specific, individualized questions.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Pat. Helen?
In the chat, we have somebody who had shared they're new to ALS, so everything is helpful.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, perfect. Right,
Lovely.
you're in the right place.
That's fine. Lovely. Okay. What about, who wants to go next? Just, you can help us if you want, who might be best to go next. Oh, go on, Anne. Anne's got a hand up.
Excuse me, I'm using a mode. Oh, I can listen to this webinar. Would that be okay? I'm muted.
Yes, we can hear you, Anne.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Came across. Okay, my husband is ALS. He started with bulbar also, and it has descended into his limbs. So I'm using a mole lift to move him. And my biggest issue is getting the sling on. So I don't know if you have any advice on that. And if the sling, they tell us the sling should not stay with him in the chair. But I want to know how you get somebody who's 6'3" and weighs 186 pounds up so you can put a sling underneath him.
We'll show you, Anne.
We can show you that, Anne.
Good.
We can show you that. So we need to look at hoisting then with that. Yeah, no problem. So when the sling's underneath him, how you get it underneath him and how you remove it after when he's sitting down. Yeah, no problem, Anne.
Okay.
Who else do we have? Denise, do you want to say?
My husband also has bulbar, so being kind of OCD kind of person, I've been preparing for all sorts of things. So I just happen to work that way. So Pat, I know exactly what you're going through, and you know, Anne as well. I think it's a really good idea because it just kind of gives you some comfort. And if I can just offer one thing is and Helen, you can correct me, but the relationship that I have with my husband, I can't ask him. I just do it. Okay. I just get the equipment. I just put these things in place.
I think it's her.
Because if I ask, think
One
about
moment, Denise, I lost your sound.
Oh, okay. Is it back?
Yes.
Is it back?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
I'll try turning it. Is it
Denise,
back
can
on?
you try speaking again?
Is it back on?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just saying that you need to put everything in place that you want to put in place and just do it. It shouldn't be a discussion. You know, my husband didn't want the hospital bed, but we got it and now he's thrilled. You know what I mean? There's a resistance there. So just do it.
Nope, nothing yet. No. Let me see if I can get Tony up down here real fast.
Can you still hear me?
We're working on our end. We can't hear you guys.
Oh, because I'm not muted.
You at the moment, so we'll.
But Denise, you can keep sharing your tip to everyone.
And if Jessica can just
down real quick. We lost audio.
while we're waiting for our audio to come on, Jessica, as you said, what you want to gain from it. Do you mind just putting it in the chat for us so we will know for when the audio comes on? How's that?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
We can't hear them. And I tried to turn the volume up on the computer,
So,
and then
can we now go on to Terry?
It went away.
Terry Fields, can you tell us? And Jessica will write it in for us until we've got.
Can you hear me?
I can hear Terry.
Hold on.
I can hear Terry.
We can hear you, Terry.
Okay, so I came on here late, so what's the expectation? What are they looking for me to share?
So Denise shared she works to be prepared, and if she feels the need for equipment, she will order it. That's awesome.
So again, it's knowing that one step ahead. It's giving you other ideas that you're wanting for here.
Yeah, the volume's up.
Okay. Terry, what about yourself?
So I got on here a little late. I was just asking, what is it you're actually looking
Okay,
for?
I'll keep seeing what I can do. Thanks.
You're looking for my
Terry,
story?
you're-
You're looking for what I need?
Terry's-
Or
Terry, they're
I'll be here in
they're
about 5 minutes,
asking
but
what it
I'm
is
gonna
you'd
keep
like
going
to
with it.
learn
Yeah.
today
To my phone.
as far
So
as
again, Brandon just purchased a portable hoyer lift and are interested in
takeaways.
using. Okay, there's one to use it. So what we might do while we're waiting for the sound to come on, what we might do is to keep going. So for most people, I'm guessing you want to know the step forward. We're needing to do hoisting and things like that. Is there anything else that you would like us to do? Is there particular things like going into the tub, or is it in and out of the car, or is it just knowing how to?
I know with me, a lot of what I do the lifting out of the bed right now to a sit and stand. And some of my issues is actually how to position him and lift him up into the sit and stand, because I have a bad shoulder, I have a bad hip. So some of the ways that I was taught to lift him is impossible for me to actually lift him. So I'm just pulling on muscles that are already strained and injured, but I am doing it the way that I was taught. And I do have a Hoyer lift, but I'm not ready yet to stick him into the Hoyer lift because he does like to stand in the sit and stand and just kind of move his body around a little bit, even though he can really hardly stand at all. I know there'll be issues once we get to using a Hoyer lift, because as I said, I've never used it before and I need to learn pretty quick because we're heading down that train.
Okay, so we definitely need to go to the lifts today.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got a Hoyer lift that we can use today, so that's no problem. And we'll certainly talk about different techniques you can do as far as helping for your shoulder as well, so that's no problem. And all remember, everyone, you can contact us individually if you wish as well. Is there anybody with anything different that they won't cover today that's not already been mentioned?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I would like to learn how to transfer to a toilet.
Okay. And what is your husband able to do at the moment?
Well, I can stand a little bit, so he just wheels the wheelchair in there and I stand up and I'm able to turn around a little bit. So, excuse me, and then I sit down. So it worked. For now, we're okay. I would like to learn to transfer myself, but I don't know if I can.
Okay then.
Or just other ways to transfer, I guess.
Okay, right, we will do that. Lovely. Okay, so what we'd like to do first is tell you about how, and this might seem a bit strange, how we normally get to stand. So let's go first of all, let's take it as a level, okay? So let's talk first of all about normal standing up. Then let's talking about needing a little bit of help standing up, and then a lot of help standing up, and then being completely dependent for standing up where we're using the hoist, okay? We're going to show little bits of equipment of the different ways that you can help for doing those transfers as well. And then what we thought at the end we'd do, how many of you have either yourselves or other people fallen over in the home and had difficulty getting people up from when they'd fallen over? Yeah, there is a, yeah, okay. So this is
had that incident yesterday.
Right, okay. So we thought we'd go through some bits of problem solving about how to get somebody up from the floor as well. Does this all sound like a good idea, folks?
Yes.
Great, lovely, okay. So let's first of all think, when we go to stand up, and if I just put my chair to the side here, okay. When we go to stand up, sorry, Kate.
No, you're good.
You're good. So when we go to stand up from here, all right, look at me going to stand up from the side. When I stand up, my head comes, watch me going to get up. Oh, I think you might need to move the camera.
Yep.
Okay.
I can do that.
Watch me going to get up. My head, I don't get up going straight up like this. I actually bring my head forwards and then I go to stand up. So why I'm telling you this normal way is that this is what we are mimicking when we're helping people to stand up. We're helping to mimic for that curve, how my head goes forward and then up, like that, okay? Also, look at how my hips and my legs are, okay? So my knees have to be able to move a bit to get up, all right? So sometimes you'll be advised by different therapists to block the knees to help you stand up. But actually blocking the knees is quite difficult to get up from. You need your knees to be able to give some movement, all right? So when I go to get up, my knees will come slightly forward when I go to stand. So when we're helping people, we need to help them with that.
I'm going to block your knees to show.
Okay.
So if I block her knees and I want her to stand up, you have to give space for the knees.
Okay. Now the other thing as well will be the distance when you go to stand up. So if I put my feet really close together, that's a lot harder to stand up than it is if I put my feet apart. For those of you that are able, and please don't fall over during this session, that could be a bit of a nightmare, all right? For those of you that are able, just have a go now, standing up when your 2 feet are very close together and see how that goes standing up. It's hard, isn't it? Yeah. Also now, try standing up, not bringing your head forwards and having your head just going straight up. Yeah? That's hard as well, isn't it? Yeah? So, there's method in my madness in telling you about that, because what we're having to do when we're helping somebody to stand up is helping them do that curve. Lots of people that help people to stand up will just pull them up, okay? You are then taking all your weight. So is it Terry who has the shoulder problem? It says Terry Fields on the thing. Are you Terry
Yes.
Fields?
Yes.
You are Terry Fields. Sometimes the name on the bottom isn't the person, is it? So Terry, sometimes with them, if you're doing something like that on your shoulder, you've got a very large force of gravity for pulling up, all right? So that's why we're looking at how you can handle to be able for the normal movement to help you, okay? So very obviously, so Pat, with you saying that you're thinking of being one step ahead, very obviously, when people start to show some signs of having difficulty standing up, try and remember those basic principles. Having the feet 90 degrees. So you can see I am 90 degrees at my hip, 90 degrees at my knees, okay? If I all have a go now, if you put your feet too far back in the chair, that's difficult to stand up, isn't it? Also, if you put your feet too far forward. So the positioning of the feet is really important to begin with, okay? Positioning of the feet important, and then allowing that forward movement. Can anybody see when somebody is, can anybody give me an example when they see somebody struggling because it's not quite normal, that stand? Either that they put the feet too close together or they don't bring the head forward. Is there any examples you can think?
We don't put the head forward. I think I fear, and he fears falling forward.
Yeah, okay, because he hasn't got as much from here, okay? But sometimes if we can look at how you're doing it so that you are there to guard him on the side, okay? So he doesn't fall over as much. So let's look at Caitlin now.
And scooting to the edge of the,
Yes,
scooting up.
go on.
Yes.
Go.
Oh, and one trick too, I see it a lot, is that the person's not scooted at least to the middle of that chair. It's hard, this chair is not very deep, but if you have a deep chair and someone's sitting very far back, it's hard to get them up. But if they can scoot forward a little bit, then we're gonna have some momentum to be, then now she's here trying to get her out. So then her nose goes over her toes for a brief second to unweight her bottom, and then chest rises. So you can think of those cues as nose over toes and then chest rises. And that'll help you get that curve that Helen's talking about. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we see a lot of shoulder problems from people struggling to lift up straight away rather than the coming forwards. Now, and it was Anne that mentioned about the hoistling, when a hoistling is stuck underneath someone. Just let me show you how you help someone scoot forward. Oh, there we go, yeah. Okay, so if you're trying to help the person that you're with, okay, come to the front of the chair or put a sling on, okay, there is easy ways that you can do that, all right? If I want Caitlin to come to the front of the chair, tell me if you can't see it very well, Michelle, all right? I'm going to be, using my quads, so sitting right down, and then I'm going to move Caitlin's bum cheeks. Do we say bum in the US?
You can say bum or butt cheek.
Or butt cheeks, okay? So we're going to move butt cheeks from side to side. So we're going to go from one cheek to the other, if you like, all right? So with my legs, I literally squiff along the thing. So one hand on the thigh and one hand on the bum. Did you all see that?
Yes.
No.
Should we do that again? So if you sit back again, all right? So one hand on the thigh and one hand on a bum, the back of the bum or butt, yeah? And we literally move and crawl across from one to the other. And that's how you can help the person scoot forwards. Okay?
And don't get in a hurry with this part. I think sometimes we get in our head and we try to think, okay, we just need to get this person up, but don't get in a hurry. So just, if it takes 14 scoots to get here, then take 14 scoots. And then the person standing up can rest, because then they need energy to then stand. So take as many little scoots as you need to get to the best spot at the chair.
Okay. For the hoisting, and similar if they are sitting on something, and we're going to do the hoist later, but just to show you very, very quickly, if you have a little seat on that. Okay. You're sitting on that, all right? And the sling's right below. Again, you can use this little maneuver, okay, of one cheek over to help. So one cheek, move from that back, one cheek, move from that back. So it's the cheek moving from side to side. Does that help, Anne?
Yes, but I mean, he has no movement whatsoever. I mean,
Yeah. So the other thing that you can use
he's not in a chair with arms, or he's in a chair with arms.
With this. He is in a chair with arms, you say?
Yes, he's in a lift
Yeah.
chair.
Okay. Just so she's sitting on something. Yeah. So if she's sitting on that, okay. And if we're in a chair with arms, remember leaning, and you can do this with very, very heavy people. It's not an issue to do it with very heavy people because it's literally force of gravity moving forward. So you bottom right out, tilting complete to the side like that, and down, back. Tilting complete to the side, down, and then back off. Yeah? So to be able to move to that side should be able to be helpful.
I can give it a go.
So
Go on, Anne.
No, I said I could give it a go and see.
Yeah.
I'll try it.
So we call it the head-hips relationship. So wherever your head goes, your hips are going to go in the opposite direction. So if you want this hip to go up, then you need my head to go down in that direction. So just think, wherever your hips are, your head's going to go in the opposite direction. So if I need my hips to go up this way to stand up, then you have to remember the head has to go down first to then stand up. If I want my left hip to go up, then my head has to go down to the right.
Okay. But Anne, the other thing that we can do is we can see this with you after this session. We can have a time and we can actually see you doing it, and we can give you advice straight there and then, if you like, for how to do it, if that's going to be helpful for you.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay, yeah, all right. So the other element then that let's just think, if we can just put the PowerPoint to look at the 4 principles, and then let's just look at this PowerPoint to show you what the 4 principles would be. So if we can go to the first one. Brilliant. Excellent. So you can see here 4 main principles that we have for being. You can see there's Tarzan flying around with Jane, right? You can see that Jane's going, you know, I am enjoying the date, but my arm is hurting. So basically what we're looking at here is the main principles for you to think for everything that's involved with manual handling. We're looking at the nature of the task, so what you're actually doing, the capabilities of the person performing it, the nature of the person receiving it, and the layout of the environment. Now, this is really obvious. You're looking at what you're going to be doing. So is it going from bed to chair, to the wheelchair, the armchair from the wheelchair, in and out the bath, in and out of the car? Okay. How capable you are. Terry's already said her shoulder hurts. So we're looking, Terry, when you're doing these transfers, how little you can use that shoulder, all right? Can we use our knees and our hips more with what you're doing? Can a piece of equipment help you do it more so that you're not pulling yourself with that shoulder, okay? So we're looking at the capabilities of that person, all right? Some of you, and Anne's mentioned, Anne, you look that you've got the perfect weight, all right? You look very slim. And it could be that your husband that you're helping is a little larger than you. So again, it's the capabilities of that person, okay? Then it's the nature of the person receiving it. A few of you have said that the people that you're looking after are actually quite capable at the moment. You're looking at the front. But there's also quite a few of you that said that the person is struggling quite a lot at the moment. So there's those capabilities. But this thing at the end is really important, and Caitlin mentioned it before, which is the layout of the environment. A lot of the times when I've seen people struggling, and Caitlin has seen people struggling, it's when people have rushed, okay? So can you tell me of a time when you've helped move someone and you've needed to rush? Can you think when you've had to rush when you're moving them? Can anybody tell me? Give me
And
an
they have to go to the bathroom quickly.
Yep. So, can you explain, Dory, what's happening in that scenario? Explain what is happening.
Well,
Give us a bit of a description.
We have to move her from the lift chair to the wheelchair, then get her to where we have the hospital commode and get her, we have to stand her up. She holds on to the bed so we can pull her pants down, and then she has to sit on the commode. We have to lower her to the commode. And sometimes you just don't have time.
Yeah. Okay. Sometimes you have time. Something's already happened, hasn't it? So they've urinated, and you're like going, no, now I've got to change the clothes and change the garments. So that makes you want to rush. Okay. Do they wear a pad already so that you're ready for that eventuality? Or do
No,
they
she
not
doesn't yet.
Yeah. And I think in some ways, sometimes that's helpful, just so that it takes that pressure of the time from you.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know we don't want to think of that, and we don't want to think of going to pads. Do you agree, Caitlin? But sometimes, if that's going to just buy you a little bit more time, it's probably the next step that you need to take. Okay. Yeah. And we're not saying being in the pad all the time or it being wet. But it's easier to remove a wet pad, than it is to change all the clothing right after. All right. Is there anybody else that can give a scenario when they have to be really quick doing the transfer?
Too loud.
Not quite yet. Anybody else? No? Okay.
I have some.
Yeah.
My husband has meetings in the morning sometimes, and I don't sleep at night. I'm kind of an insomniac, so I usually sleep in the morning. And so therefore,
it's going to force oxygen into your body, into your nasal passageways, and you'll feel up.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's fine.
So I have to get up. I have to get him up real quickly out of the bed and into the sit and stand and into the bathroom, and then get him back out and get him into his wheelchair, and then get everything set up with his Toby. So, and he doesn't move at all. So he's usually laying whichever position I've rolled him into.
Yeah. So that's the amount of transfers that you have to do, and the amount of time that you're having to do it quicker for a particular deadline for a meeting.
Right.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So sometimes in those, what we can consider is how we can remove a particular transfer requirement. All right. So in other words, if you're doing from the bed to a chair, from the chair to something else, from that something else onto something else, sometimes we can look at a device that will not involve the chair, but help you push to the other place. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So it could be that while we're talking today, we can give you some suggestions, or we can individually, of what you can use to help you to remove one of those steps.
Okay.
Yeah. But some of those is sort of a fast element. Sorry, next slide. Okay. So if you're looking from here, okay, that's why I'm saying the 4 Ps: plan, prepare, posture, proceed. All right. So, and you're all probably getting very used to this. All right. With ALS, we're having to think one step ahead all the time. We're having to think what's going to happen in a week's time, in a month's time, round the corner, in a year's time. We're also thinking of that when we're doing transfers. So when we're doing transfers, we're sort of in our head thinking where we are now and where we've got to get to. And if you get nothing from today, just think of making sure that you have that plan ahead. And I'm sure you're all thinking, we know this, we're doing this all day, every day. But sometimes when we're rushed, we forget that plan ahead, okay? So it's thinking, where is my destination? Is my destination easy? Is there any obstacles? Have I worked it out well? All right. So that planning and preparing. Posture. Okay. This is really important. All right. If we look at our vertebrae here. Okay. It's fine. You can come off the PowerPoint now if you want. Yeah. So if we look at our vertebrae here. Okay. You see that from there? We can see that we've got our little spongy discs here, all right? And there is a certain amount of movement we have for that vertebrae, okay? If we then pull further than that with further pressure, we're going to decompress that vertebrae, okay? Have any of you hurt your backs? Has anybody had a problem with their back recently? Or is everybody... Go on, Karen, tell us what's happened for you.
So I've had, I'm in my mid-50s. I've had back issues. I hurt my back. I'm a nurse
Right.
and a practitioner. I hurt my back when I was in my early 20s doing floor nursing. And so I've had to really work to protect my back because I was recommended in my 20s to get surgery. I've never had surgery on my back. So it's really... I focus a lot on really things that I can do to keep myself healthy and to protect my back.
That's
I
it.
always think of that every time I help my husband out of a chair, every time I'm helping to transfer him, I'm always thinking about myself too.
Excellent. Perfect. Karen, we could have had you leading this.
Yeah, I have, because I have scoliosis, I have disc degeneration from C-spine all the way down. And
Wow.
so all the time. And
Okay.
sometimes I have spasms. So I use ibuprofen. I try to get rest. I try to get exercise. But, you know, doing the things, my husband still can stand up and take a couple of steps. The maneuver I'm doing often is I stand in front of him and I reach my hands out and I have to pull him by the arms. When he's in his recliner, he has a lift recliner.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I can feel that because I'm using the back muscles, especially, you know, in the mid back. I'm doing physical therapy right now for a shoulder issue and some upper back stuff. But, you know, it's those type of things. I put something in the comment section because we have a Mo lift, but because he still walks or can take a couple of steps, we really use that very, very rarely.
Good. Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of people in these calls talk about a sit and stand, and so I'm curious as to...
We've got a photo to show you for that, and we'll go through that.
Would be beneficial for us, because every time I try to just help him out of the chair, you know, I can feel some of that pull in the back a little bit.
Yes. And Karen, are you being able to scoot him forwards a little bit, like we showed?
I don't have to. He can do that.
Right. He's doing that, but it's that immediate lift forward. Okay. So if we're thinking of our back issue, for those who, Karen's expert, she's been taught in this, but for the back issue, any of you any good at reggae dancing? No? Reggae. So when I'm talking about reggae, here we go with the reggae. Yeah? We've all been into the reggae dancing, all right? Now, what we do when we reggae dance, all right, we stick our bottom out, all right? So bum out, all right? And we stick our bottom out and we bend our knees. You can see, we British are good partiers, okay? So you can see here with me, all I've got, they're howling, Caitlin and Michelle are howling behind. But what I'm doing the whole time is I'm immobilizing my back, all right? So when I'm doing this, I'm using my quads all the time. Anne, yeah, I can see you getting into this, Anne. You'll be all right with this, do you think? So really, what you want to do is a bit of a reggae dance. And now, you will think I'm mad saying this, but before you go to do your manual handling, think, I remember that strange British person, and I'm going to do a bit of a reggae dance before I go to do this. So as you go into approach, yeah, they'll think you're bonkers, but by doing this, what happens is your brain then engages to protect this lower spine. and you're reminding your head to use your quads. So your legs are moving. Michelle behind the camera is now having a go at a bit of reggae dancing. So this is what you need to be doing so that you're not using your back. If you get used to that, then it's better, all right? That doesn't feel like a normal movement. So when you go to lift something, okay, or move forward, you'll reach with your arms and you'll pull, okay? So you do this. What we're doing with reggae is we're doing this so that we can bring it forward, all right? So if you learn nothing from today, thinking of the reggae dance before you go to move will immobilize your back and will immediately make you use your leg muscles instead, all right? So with no further ado, let's dance with Caitlin for her to help her to do some transfers. So let's do some simple transfers first, okay? So,
Bed or chair?
don't mind from bed there, that's fine, yeah. So, have any of you, what sort of mobility aids? Can you put in the chat box? For those of you that have people that can walk, what mobility aids are they using? What mobility aids do we have?
Assistive devices.
Assistive
Canes,
devices.
walkers.
What have we got? Can you tell us what we're using?
Maybe some rollators with the wheels and the seats.
Rollator, okay. So the rollator will be like this with the wheels on it. Yeah?
With a little seat.
And the little seat. Mm-hmm. The Mo lift, okay. Getting walker today, yeah, with arm braces, because arms, so like this.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. The gait belts, so you've got one of these. Somebody's saying, got one of the gait belts or something similar to this, okay. What else? Anybody using sticks?
Loft strand crutches. You know, they hook it to the forearm.
So nobody's using crutches at the moment. Okay, so we're looking from these. So, if I'm assisting Kate, and some of you are saying that, and I think one of you said that they seem a bit unsteady coming forwards, all right? If I'm encouraging Caitlin to stand up, I'll encourage her to use what she already has, okay? So remember me talking about the 90-90-90. We're looking to make sure Caitlin has 90 degrees at her hip and at her knees and at her feet, all right? We're making sure that she's got a proper gait, all right? So she's got her legs spread out because obviously we don't want her to be tightrope walking when we stand up. We need to help her for a balance, okay? The friend behind, and we want to push her up. Now we know the issue with ALS is hugely how individualized it can be, okay? So some people could have the legs at the moment, but don't have their upper limbs.
I have a question. Many devices support lower body weakness.
He cannot use his arms or hands, yeah? So quite often, Sheraton, if he's able to walk, but he hasn't got hands, is that what you're saying? Yeah? Yeah. So, would the walker that we're getting, the gait walker with their arms in, would be helpful for that. All right? So, that is a walker where you've got your forearms like this. It's a bit taller and your forearms are in there so that you can use your legs, but you've got your forearms resting on the top. Does that make sense, whoever asked that question? Would that be helpful? Sheraton. Would that be helpful, Sheraton? Hopefully we... Okay.
Sheraton, I'm sorry, I think you were muted.
Am I still muted?
Nope, we can hear you.
You're all right now.
I have kids at home and school and Zooming and all that, so.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Yes, we're getting one of those today. It's just so many of the things like grab bars and, you know, handles going down a ramp is for people who can actually grasp and have the strength to utilize those.
Yeah.
But in our case, he does not.
Yes. So Sheraton,
Yep.
what he's going to need to do, what he's going to need to do more is bring his head further forward. If Caitlin doesn't use her arms to get up, all right, she has to bring her head more forwards to come up. So the best thing that you can do to help him, okay, is encourage him to scoot to the front, okay, and then stoop more when he stands up, all right, because he hasn't got his arms to push up from. So normal movement will want you to move forward more if you haven't got the arms, okay? So you could be on the side, helping to stand, okay? One hand on the hip and one hand on the shoulder here. One of you said you worry that they're going to topple forwards. A simple way to help that is literally just having your hand on the front and the other hand on the pelvis, remembering that move forward and then the helping of the stand up. Don't encourage them. What they'll want to do, are you getting dizzy yet, Caitlin?
I'm good.
What they will want to do is reach for the walker. And if you see, if Caitlin does that and she reaches for the walker, okay, we're pushing, we're a lot more unstable when we get up, all right? So encouraging from the side, okay, and then just put your hand by the shoulder to help with the movement from up. Now that's obviously if they hardly need any help for coming forwards, okay? So another way that we can do sometime, you remember we talked about the foot and the knee probably being a little bit unstable, okay? So what you can do is block one of the feet and block one of the knees, okay? But when we're going to block the knee, we're not right in the front of the knee. You can see my beautiful legs here. I'm waiting for a bit more sun in St. Augustine at the moment, okay? But what I might do here is block the side of the knee. So my patella goes into that little crevice on the side, okay? And then what we'll do is we'll help to stand. I'm just providing a bit of that support when she first come up, all right? So it's just that little bit. What we're not doing is completely blocking that knee. Because if we keep blocking that knee, Caitlin's not going to be able to stand up. Okay. Now the other thing that we can, and then we're stepping. Now some of you have said at the moment, once Caitlin's up, and she would be able to step into this chair. It was a beautiful step, Caitlin. Beautiful, okay? However, Caitlin might have difficulty doing that. So if some of you find it's the stepping in a small space that is difficult, sorry, can we have the slide up? If we can have the slide up.
Yes, ma'am.
You might have heard of the turning tables you can have. So some of them, it's a little disc on the floor, okay, which is a turning table. Next one. Which one is it?
Next one.
Yes,
Next one. There we go. Lady with a lovely pair of socks on, okay? So this is just like a turning, all right? So it means that if Caitlin stood up here, okay, so if you stand up from there, okay, she could literally swivel. The table will swivel on the floor for her to get down. So it means she's not having to stop, okay? So it's the swiveling table, that swiveling disc is quite good. It's also quite good for transfers in and out of the car. Yeah, so you know when somebody's in a car, okay, you can probably show now, she's in the car in the passenger seat and she wants to get out. And it's difficult to maneuver and you're pulling and pushing for them to get out. If you have one of these little discs on the seat of the car, it allows Caitlin just to swivel round, okay, so that it's easy then for her to stand up. So one of those turning discs is really, really useful for the floor and the top. Another thing that you can use for that is a plastic bag. Just a general big, do you call them bin bags here?
trash bag
Trash bags.
or a garbage bag.
See, she's my translator, okay? So a trash bag or that is helpful as well.
Usually like a heavy duty, like a yard, like a leaf like a leaf bag, the really heavy black ones. And usually you can put one in the other, and it'll be, then you can slide, and it helps you pivot out of that chair, out of the car chair, so then you can stand up because you're in that tight space in the car.
But wouldn't those, like, I'm thinking about transferring from the wheelchair to the lift chair, and our patient has gotten to where she can hardly do anything. But yesterday, the problem was is transferring her legs can't turn, and she ended up sliding, and we lowered her to the ground. Wouldn't that bag just make it more slippery that she would slide more?
So is she sliding when she stands? So when she stands up, she's
when
sliding.
she stands up, we're hanging on to her for dear life, using the gait belt.
Yeah. So actually, I think we've come to a point with that lady not to stand up, that you're doing straight transfers from that point. Yeah. It's gone that her quads are too weak to actually stand up.
Right.
Yeah. Especially if they're giving way. So with that, what we can do, okay, is do the pivot switch. Have you done the pivot? Have you done a pivot transfer before?
That's pretty much what we do. What I end up doing with her is I get her under her left arm, and I brace my feet, and I literally just swing her over to the wheelchair.
Right. Okay.
But the problem is her one knee, she was injured, she got robbed, and her one knee is all swollen. And this happened years ago, but that's her problem. So she can't move that knee. Her leg is like really stiff. And so when we're trying to pivot her, I'm afraid I'm going to break her leg.
Yeah. Okay. So if I was doing a pivot transfer now, okay, I'm thinking of my reggae stance. Remember my reggae? I'm coming up, yeah, literally. So, but I'm doing a bit of a reggae, okay. My bottom is right out, okay, and I've got my knees not right in front. Is that right? Or not right in front, to the side. And can you see how that works? Can we get that on the camera?
Yeah, if you could lift your pants so there's
I'm
more
a bit
of a flat
traumatized.
back.
This is all being, I look like this is going to be video. Look at this, right? So if you can see, my knee comes to the side. My groove in my knee is on the side. I'm not here, I'm there.
So it's more like a squeeze of the leg versus a block of the knee. It's more like the person transferring is squeezing the patient's legs with their knees.
Okay. And so what we would do, I've got my bum right out. I'm not looking good, but it's going to be functional. Okay. I'm never under the arm. All right. There's no way that you ever want to go under the arm, because think of Tarzan on the roof. Tarzan never hangs Jane by under the arms, does he? He's got around the middle. All right. So it's around the middle where you've got the most support that you're going to maneuver. Never underneath the arms, because literally they'll just fall below, which is probably what's happening, Dory, is they're literally just falling below under your arms from there.
Dory, do you use a gait belt?
Oh yeah, I actually made a sleeve for it of fleece material to cushion it, because she had a double mastectomy, and so touching any of her skin hurts her. So I made a sleeve for it, so it's not.
So for some of you, you can use the gait belt as well. Now, Anne, you might find a gait belt useful for helping bringing your husband further forward. Yeah. So to be able to, instead of picking up from his butt just sounds so uncouth, so un-British to say butt. Bottom, thank you. So from there, what you can do instead is pull on the gait belt. Can you see that, Anne? Pull on a gait belt like that could be helpful, all right? So what I'm going to ask is just that Caitlin just relaxes, okay? And I'm going to say, I'm going to come and give you a hug, all right? And we just twist. Can you see that? So we never go fully up into standing. All right, let's do it the other way. You see on there?
I'm going to try to, let me give them a better view.
Again, my knees aren't here. My knees are to the side. And my legs are like that. I'm coming round. Give me a hug. I can either use the gait belt or not. And it's a little twist. Again, We've got that reggae movement, all right? It's all in the reggae dance, folks. So I have not lifted up at any point. I've not extended my back at any point, okay? Dory, again, if you wish, we are more than happy for you to see individually, have your camera there while you're having a go, and we'll look at how it's doing and give you some advice.
How can I
No
do
problem at all.
How do I do that? Just call you guys or?
We're going to go through it at the end of how you can do it. No charge, we just do that. Yeah?
Okay, great.
All for the love.
If I want to talk about the gait belt quickly. So if you're going to use it, how many of you guys, you'll just raise your hand, how many of you use a gait belt? So just one. So a gait belt's a really good device to use, but you have to know how to use it properly. So when you're putting it on, see if I can get close enough. So when you're putting it on, there's a little, there's like a teeth mark. So you want to put that part through first. So just think you want to feed the alligator first. See, I told you I'm a Florida native. Feed the alligator first. So you want to feed the alligator first. And then when you put that gait belt on, you want to bring it low. So you want it to be on the hips if you can, okay? So as low to the hips as you can, because that's where the weight is. That's where your pivot point is. And so you want it to be as tight as you can on the person. So it should be tight. It should be comfortably tight, okay? Because it's going to loosen up when you use it to hold on to. So you want it to be you want it to be just comfortably tight, and then you can use that as the handle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. And you can get them on Amazon for relatively cheap, but it's a good tool to have something to hold on to move your person around versus like holding on. Sometimes you'll hold on to their trousers or their underwear, and it's really, the gait belt's a really good trick.
Yeah. Lovely. Now, if you're not confident with doing that pivot, if that pivot is difficult, the other way that you can use is what we've got. Here's the transfer board. Are you happy to bring the camera? Mm-hmm. So the transfer board, okay, that you can do this for us. This is ideal for when people probably haven't got as much support in their legs, okay? So the ALS has wasted their legs, but they've still got a little bit of their arms. And it stops you needing to do that pivot because they use what we call the transfer board to slide along. So it's literally like a slippy wooden surface. Now, there are negatives to it. You know, you have shearing along this, so it really needs to be people that are able to just relieve the pressure areas a bit by moving the bottom from side to side sometimes, okay? But in general, it can help just to help for that transfer when they're just having that off day when they're not as good to stand up, all right? So again, you're remembering again the 90-90-90, yeah? The bonds between them, all right? And Caitlin could either do this herself with her arm and pushing her along, or I can be there for any step of the way. Important point. Let the person that you're looking after use what they've got. A lot of the studies that I've done within ALS shows that people decondition very easily. So sometimes we don't use that bit of activity that we have. So it wastes away a little bit faster. That's a whole new story I can talk to you about. I can do another one anytime to talk to you about that. But it's important to use the activity that you've got. Especially, it was Pat, especially past the time that you're talking about, okay, and I think, who else was it? That it's in that time where people are still quite able and still have their legs and still have their arms to some extent. Trying to use is really important. So I can do the transfer exactly as I did before, okay, but we've just got that fracture board as well to help us with. So it's not as scary, I'm not doing that job. Now, if we can show you on the PowerPoint, this fracture board's great, works really well. You probably need to take the side off a wheelchair, okay, to do that, so the person would need a bit of balance. But if we show you on the next picture coming along here, yeah, here we've got what we call in the UK, and Caitlin didn't know about this, we call it a banana board. It's bright yellow. So it's exactly the same thing, but can you see how it's curved? So it's able to go around a self-propelling wheelchair slide. It's able to go around the side of the wheelchair if you don't want to take it off.
So if you're looking like on Amazon, you can just look up curved transfer board or BZ board. So it's B and then the word easy board. And some of the BZ boards will have a little table, a little slider on them that we're going to show you next. But if you're looking it up, it's just put in curved transfer board.
So, Caitlin will show you the BZ board.
All right, so this is a BZ board. I'm going to bring it up to you. So it's the same thing. It's a transfer board that has a little disc to sit on, and then you can slide. So the patient doesn't even have to move. They can just slide. And it's almost like that pivot board that Helen was talking about. But then it just slides down. So it's a little heavier, a little clunkier. So, but if you have to transfer someone and they can't move as much, this is a better option. So then it's here. You do the same trick where you would get the person, you would lean them over, right, to be able to unweight that hip to get the BZ board under. And then do you want to transfer me, Helen?
Yeah.
And then she just has to slide me. And it just slides.
Okay. Remember, notice I've got my bottom out the whole time. Okay.
So Helen's trick for doing a transfer and not getting hurt is the reggae dance. But I told her my trick is just think, when in doubt, stick your butt out. And that's usually when I'm teaching caregivers, they remember that. So when in doubt, stick your butt out. So you're going to engage your core and you're going to bend with your legs. Think your leg muscles are so much stronger than your back muscles and your arm muscles. So when in doubt, stick your butt out so that you're transferring like this. So either remember the reggae dancing or remember when in doubt, stick your butt out to be able to do that transfer and not hurt your back.
Okay. If we just go on to the PowerPoint, sorry, Michelle's working very hard here. She's enjoying herself, pretending she's doing reggae in the background. She's enjoying herself, and then I go, hey, go on the PowerPoint. Yeah. Okay, and go to the standing. There we go. So this is something one of you were mentioning, that were tending to fall when they were standing up. This is really good piece of kit, okay? So you're helping somebody stand up, exactly the same as before. So imagine if Caitlin's on here, okay? We put it below, like that turntable, put it below, okay? And then we can help, she can actually hold onto the top if she wants in this scenario, okay? You can see at the back it's got brakes on so it doesn't tip over, okay? And then they can get to stand up and they're pulling on their arms. So this is for people that have okay arm strength, not as good on their quads. And then they can lean into those leg pads. They can lean into those pads. You can tilt it back and twist it round. Does that make sense? So it's a turntable with some leg pads on the top arm. Now if we go on to the next one. Okay, now here is another thing, and I think one of you might have been mentioning this. There are all types of standing hoists. And remember I said that you can skip a step. These are really good to skip a step. So whereas you probably do a transfer onto a wheelchair, move the wheelchair to somewhere else, and then do another transfer. If you have a standing hoist, okay, you can do the transfer, and then you can transport the person with that to where you're wanting to go. So it misses out the wheelchair step. And if we go one further along, okay, you can see here that they have different slings for different types of dependencies. So the person one, the chap just needed a bit of help round here, but isn't able to step his legs. Here, you're quite fully encased. And this is because one of you said that the person that you're with likes to feel standing. And this is excellent for people that still want to feel about standing. Our bowel movements are better when we get to stand up. We feel so much better. Our stomach's better once we get to stretch and stand up. So these are excellent for that reason. Thank you. I think we're going to go on to the points. Any questions? You've all been very quiet.
So this is Terry. The one that you showed right before that last one is the one that we use. It's the sit and stand. It's the one you're supposedly supposed to have a little bit of arm strength, but he really doesn't. And we use that one to get him out of the bed, and we use it to transfer him to the toilet, to the shower, and then to his wheelchair. So right now we've been using that one for pretty much everything because he likes to stand up and move he has very little movement left, but he can, you know, wiggle his body a little bit, and he feels that standing
So Terry,
quality.
The next element may be you either use the gait belt to help bring him up into standing rather than under the arm. So you use the gait belt to help him come up. Okay. Yeah.
So where my big issue is when he's laying in the bed and I try to get him to the sitting position, that's where I have my biggest issue and I hurt myself there.
Okay. So we're going to be lying into bed and then we're going to do points there. Okay. So the ideal element for people to, so it's when you're going to bring him out of bed from sitting.
Right.
Yeah?
Correct.
Okay. So you always want to help people to come onto their side first. All right? So with Caitlin, we wanted to bring her head over first. Okay. Then her arm. Notice my bum sticking out, everyone, again. All right. Then bend the knee, and my bum sticking out, we're going to roll over. Is that what you're doing? Is that what you're all doing?
That's how I roll him in bed, but that's not how I get him up.
Okay.
I usually move him to flat.
Okay. So from there, okay, then you can do a scoot. Is he a large gentleman, Terry, or quite a slim?
No, he's thin.
Right, okay. So then from there, you can do a scoot. So I've got bum sticking right out, all right. I'm in my reggae stance, okay. I've got my hands. This wasn't helpful. She should have had a haircut for this. I've got my hands behind her scapula here, all right. Okay. My hand behind her scapula here, and thing. And we're going to do what we call a scoot. We call it a scoot here. Yeah, a scoot here, all right? And gravity is going to help you to move down. So it's literally scoot.
Oh, okay.
And it's my quad that moves here. If you do it again, again, because my bum is sticking out, butt out, as Nathan said, all right, it's scoot. So both of them happen at the same time. It's
scoot.
Remember the head-hips relationship, so that my hips just went down, so naturally my head has to come up.
Now is the bed lifted at all?
Yes, but ours doesn't here. This is a low bed because we do it on the lowest possible to show our students. So you would put yours as high. Can you lift the bed up?
Yes, I can.
Bed?
Yes,
Yeah?
I have a hospital bed.
So always lift your bed up until it's like hip height.
Okay.
Hip height is the ideal from there.
Then when he's up, sitting up, then lower it back down so his feet are on the ground for the transfer.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good. And we're more than happy, Terry, for you to show us individually, show us when you're doing that, and we'll see how you're doing the scoots, and we'll recommend differently.
Well, it's wrong, obviously.
That doesn't matter. We won't tell anyone. It wouldn't matter if it's wrong. Aperture, so it's easy to get onto the toilet. There we go. Don't you love these photographs? People are just loving, enjoying putting someone on a toilet. It's just not realistic to life, is it, folks? Okay. So you can see there the particular aperture helps you be able to get straight into bed. So you do with no underwear, basically, just a garment up above and would help drop down onto the toilet from there. Can we just move on one while we're here? I just wanted to show something else here. Okay, some of you lots of people with ALS enjoy the relaxation of being within the tub. Okay, and this is just 2 examples. This one on the left is one that in the UK I've used a lot. It's like a strapping that somebody can transfer. Like we talked about that, transfer to the side and then be lowered down. Okay, lowered down, and then there's the other one. Yeah. Now I want you to go over falling on the floor. All right. So if we look at Caitlin now, fallen on the floor. Oh my gosh. Okay.
She did not tell me that I was going to be doing all of this.
That's because she wouldn't have done it. Fair enough, isn't it? Okay. So Caitlin fallen on the floor here. Okay. And you have probably thought, what on earth can we do over this situation? Do we have to bring the paramedics in or whatever? All right. What we're wanting to do, what's a really good trick to begin with, first of all, because nobody likes just lying down straight within the floor. This is a trick that I've used over the years. It's just using a basic dining room table, okay, as something to help somebody sit up. So quite often when people lie down, they feel worse because they're completely flat, all right? So if I come on my knees, okay, bum straight out again, all right? I'm going to come behind Caitlin, help lift her up, and I'm going to pull the dining room chair in so that we're sitting back. Can you see how that would work? So you've already got people able to have a little bit more awareness when they're sitting up. You're able to see how you're able to move your arms, how you're able to move your legs. Then when it's coming to stand, again, there is no rush. If they're warm and they're safe on the floor, take your time. Don't rush. Remember those principles that we taught at the beginning, okay? The biggest problems happen when people are rushing. What we always teach people, Caitlin's safe here. Admittedly, we don't want her on the floor for multiple hours, spend the rest of her life on the floor. But there is no huge rush to bring. So if we look at then bringing things like another table or another chair to help graduate it, okay? So, we could either use our lift or hoist straight away, and all of these hoists will be able to hoist down literally from the floor, all right? So from the floor, exactly as we would to the bed, roll so that that goes on. Or we can encourage Caitlin to turn around, okay, using the chair side and come onto your knees, okay? So she comes onto her knees first, using the chair side, okay, 4 knees, takes the time from there, and then we're standing up from that point, okay? You could use your gate belts, but again, you're using to bring forwards, okay? So the upside down chair trick is quite good for helping people off the floor. This piece of kit, sorry, Michelle, you're back onto the PowerPoint, the last bit. This piece of kit, which is the last one on here, I have used loads, okay? And this is called the manga cushion. If you can see here, the bottom floor, somebody lied on the floor, fallen over. You literally roll them onto the cushion, as you can see on the second. It's battery operated and it inflates. But inflates while they're sitting up as well, okay? Then they're sitting down and then you can wait and look at the normal transfer that you would. These are brilliant. Use these loads within the UK and they are used. Okay? So for regular callers, that's quite good. Now I think we're coming up to 5 to 3.
What are those called? What were those called again?
Manga cushion. MANGOR, manga cushion. Excellent, manga cushions. And they're ideal, like something like that. It's a lot cheaper than being able to bring in, thank you, manga cushion. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. Barry and Linda says you shouldn't use the lift to move someone very far. We mean the hoist. If you're transferring someone from one room to another, you really need to use the standing frame, not necessarily the hoist, okay? Because when you're using the hoist, they're flapping from one place to another, all right? So it's harder. You've got to maneuver the hoist and you've got to support them as well. With 5 to 3, we've done a bit of a whistle-stop tour of all of that, but we knew that it would probably be throwing lots and lots of ideas. It would tickle your fancy of what could be done, but we did think when we were preparing this that we wouldn't be able to satisfy all of you with your individual situations. So I'll just pass you over to Caitlin of what we're happy to do.
Yes. So we have students that can help us with this as well, and we have our email address. Can you pull up that last slide, Michelle, please? So our email us and ask us for a one-on-one session. Between Helen and I, we'll have a couple of students involved, but we can have a training session with you. We can talk about whatever problems you're having, however, if it's the bathroom, if it's how we can work problems in the bathroom, just whatever you really need. If you'll just send us an email, then we can have university, so it's no charge to you.
And we'll send you this paperwork, isn't it? Set the things that we send
Yes,
out
we'll
to
set you all up, and it'll be consent, obviously, so we can cover all liabilities. But then we'll have some students observing, and we'll kind of problem solve our way through whatever your problems are.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So hopefully, that's what we thought we would do today. We were looking at self-preservation while you're helping with manual handling. At how we can do preserving our back with our movement. We looked at what normal movement was standing like, and hopefully, if you've learned from today, you've learned this 90, bringing the head forward, those elements. We've then shown you different ways of transferring, and hopefully it's made you pick up some ideas and think what is possible. And we've then gone to hoisting and then on to going onto the floor. We could spend a whole afternoon just on hoisting and some of these elements. But hopefully what we've done is we've given you a flavour, we've given you some rules to go by, and if you want us to chat to you further individually, you are very welcome. So unless you've got any questions, we'll pass over to Jessica.
Wow, thank you so much, Helen and Caitlin. That was so helpful. I know I learned a lot. I'm sure everybody on the call learned a lot. And thank you for making yourselves available to meet individually with families and kind of work through some of their challenges that they're being faced with transfers directly in their home, and taking a look at how they're doing things and ensuring, going the extra mile to ensure that they're safe. They're safe, and the individual that they're caring for is safe. This was great. We can't thank you enough. Like I said, this is being recorded, so we will have it available on our website and to share with you. And you have Helen and Caitlin's information, but if for some reason you missed it, please don't hesitate to reach out to our chapter, to your regional program manager, and we will be sure to make the connections for you.
Thank you, Helen, for finishing on time. That was wonderful. We can now watch Liverpool play Chelsea.
Hey! And don't tell me you're going to be Chelsea supporter.
Neither.
You are?
Neither.
Neither, right. I'm a Scouser.
Yes, I thought that as much.
Yeah. And Manson, it's lovely to see you. So glad you could come on before the end. It's lovely to see you.
We do have a couple of questions, detailed stuff, so maybe we can contact you later on.
By all means, send on that email. No problem.
Oh, there's a lot of people on here. Holy cow.
thank you for the advice, and I will try it. And if it does not work as well as I need it to, I will be contacting you. But thank you very much.
Lovely.
Well, thank you everybody for attending. And again, Helen and Caitlin, thank you so much for your time. I mean, the information is invaluable to us, so really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
No problem. Thank you for having us.